to another Inside Texas Around the League segment, joined by Drew. I got an Aggie on here who's 11-0. I don't know what I'm doing. I just love pain. I got Dave Myrick, Maggie Johnson, everybody, all the good friends, not just ball knowers, but good people in the panel tonight. Also, thanks for being here, guys. Some early comments. How about the fighting Texas A&M Aggies? You left out a few letters there, Mr. Giggle Bart, for reference. And we're already off to a hard start because we don't know if we've seen the Aggies play anybody. So it's Mr. Brent. Thank you guys for being here. Go ahead, throw a quick like on the video. Also, hop on over to InsideTexas.com where you can subscribe for $1 right now. Go check out the leading place for all things Texas athletics. Find the best recruiting analysts, which is coming up. Big signing day one right around the corner. We're still talking about this team right now. It is a little disappointing, but go do so for $1 right now. Check out the game day forums. They're a lot of fun. But guys, how's everyone doing this evening?
Good, man.
Doing good.
It's my second show with Dave today, so
yeah,
that's a lot of Dave Myrick in one day.
Too much sooner for me for one day.
Well, I love that. Bart says, "Heck of a win by the Sooners." Indeed, it was.
Yeah,
he told us that they would get it done. I did not see it happening. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought that Alabama would be efficient enough on offense. I did not see we'll call it 10 points from defense and special teams between the punt return and the interception return. But man, that OUD is for real. They kind of flummox the Tide offense, and who are very damn well coached by anybody. But Dave, we'll let you talk about it first, man. What were your thoughts and takeaways from a very, very big win for Venables and the Sooners a couple weeks in a row now that we're saying that?
Yeah, Cord. I mean, going into Neyland and then Bryant Denny back to back, that's kind of crazy to think a team comes out of that 2-0, let alone Brent Venables' OU team on the heels of losing at home to Ole Miss when everybody thought this season was toast. Shows some fortitude, shows some heart that Oklahoma has. If nothing else, the defense is very good. The passing numbers have been inflated by both Tennessee, Alabama. OU played a lot of 3-high, 2-high safeties. They let up a lot of yards between the 20s, but that was more by design, not to get beat over the top. And then they bowed up in the red zone and forced field goals or just took the football away. So really good execution on defense. And yeah, front seven's very good. They kind of made life tough for Ty Simpson there in Alabama. They did a good job stopping the run, which Alabama hadn't done that well all season. And the offense just kind of existed, and didn't mess it up enough to screw things up for the defense and special teams. Tate Santel still wearing Daisy Dukes and banging 60-yard field goals. It's what the guy does, but he's become a weapon. I mean, he's a legit dude in college football. They don't win without him, but it's been that mix of just take care of the football, don't do anything stupid, let the defense do their thing and play really good special teams. And when this team doesn't beat themselves, they're good. I mean, they're tough to beat. They're a tough out. Now, the offense is going to have to do better than that they've done. There's no question about that, but pretty impressed, man. I was with you. I saw a close game in the fourth quarter down in Tuscaloosa. I thought that they would do something stupid and mess it up in the end because that's what we've seen for 3 years, and it didn't happen. I mean, that they played and executed pretty good football and made the winning plays when they had to have it. And yeah, it's a huge win. I mean, not just for right now, but for what could have happened at the end of the season with Brent Venables. Huge win for the program. You don't want to start over nowadays in this program era. I mean, a really good defense probably loses half of it if you do make a head coaching change. So that was big to get that one done for Brent. Now they've got momentum, and it's going to be a different deal. I mean, OU fans year in, year out, they want national championships. They want to play for championships. Sometimes that's not reasonable. Not right now. It's right on their doorstep. I mean, it's actually here. They've got a reason to get excited. So what do you do with it? You got a great opportunity. You got 2 winnable games at home, very tough Missouri team on deck. And now you're going to be the hunter and opposed to the hunted, and that takes place pretty quick. So it's going to be a new mindset they've got to play with. But I'll tell you what, the fan base is rip-roaring stoked. They're ready for this one.
I mean, dude, you win at Tuscaloosa, you win at Titletown. I know it's not Nick Saban and those Alabama teams, but it's still a pretty damn good program and that had been trending. I kept saying they look like they're on a mission. They're getting a little bit better. The defense is what they are. We knew what we're getting on that side of the ball. That's the thing for me. You said it really well. The offense just didn't lose the game for them. The defense went and made plays. The offense, you didn't have 3 interceptions like you had versus Texas, or you didn't have a couple of early turnovers like you had with Tennessee. Like the offense just, they were there. And, it's one thing to put yourself in a position to win a big game like that on the road in the SEC, but to actually slam that door shut and get it done, that's a whole other, whole other problem. And so credit to OU for doing that. I definitely didn't think they'd get it done. But Drew, when you look at this game, you look at Alabama and what their resume really looks like. Couple of losses to, you got a loss at home. You got a loss as a big favorite on the road at Florida State, who, obviously did not have the season many thought that they'd have after beating Bama. What do you think long-term this means for DeBoer and just their playoff picture and where that program's going and him as a head coach?
Man, yeah. I mean, if you look at it in hindsight, I mean, the first loss of the year kind of starts to come more to the forefront as they kind of fall back in the pack. I think they ended up at 10 in the latest playoff rankings. And I mean, I feel like they have a spot to make it in. I feel like they're fine. I feel like they're okay right now, but they might need a little bit of help. I'm not the kind of guy that gets deep into the playoff rankings because my team is fortunately in a place where we win and get in. But to me, it seems like they're in a place where if they win out, they should be fine. It looks like the SEC is going to get 5. Long term, I mean, this is the first DeBoer loss at home at Bama. Styles made this fight versus OU this year and last year. It just seems like OU and Venables and this defense is the kind of defense that can stop exactly what DeBoer was trying to do. And that's obviously a pass-first offense. An offense that doesn't really run the ball very well. And when you kind of funnel an offense down to that, I mean, obviously this is a really tough matchup against that level of a defense. And I wanted to touch on OU because when you watch OU and from afar and thinking about OU, it's a very specific way they're winning these games. And the fact that they're able to just kind of lean on their strengths and with the offense that just doesn't mess them up. I think their average length of scoring drive was like 30 yards of possession this game. So just to see that kicker basically make them in range to score no matter what, it's really like this really good complementary football they play in this really strange OU way. And it's 2 games in a row where they're outgained by over 100 yards and they just make the big plays. They find ways to win. So I come out feeling really high on OU. I'm not out on Bama. I'm not out on DeBoer, but it certainly, throws them into the pack a little bit where if enough things don't go their way, there is a path for them not to make it. Obviously a really tough game with, rivalry game, the Iron Bowl coming up, and who knows what that game could look like. They're in a spot now where they have to really go and earn it. But, I come away really impressed with OU and really intrigued for their game coming up versus Mags, Missouri.
Yeah, OU kind of just did to Bama what Bama's done to other teams this season, because that's what they did to us. They just found that way to win. Mizzou statistically beat Alabama.
Yeah,
but you're playing an inexperienced quarterback in Bo Pribula at the time, who that game was like October 11th, so he's still only like 5 starts into the season. He throws that pick, goes for his first option, doesn't see his second option that happens to be wide open. They take advantage of it. That's exactly what OU did to Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and I mean, Alabama just continued to find ways to win. We thought, at the end of the day, that's what they were going to do again against Oklahoma. So, yeah, I think that, again, we've said this for 2 of the last 3 weeks now. The only reason we didn't say it in the between maybe is because they had a bye week, but that's the biggest win that, in my opinion, Venables has had in his tenure as Oklahoma's head coach, and what that means for them going down the line. You have 2 home games that you have to treat essentially as playoff games leading up to the playoffs. Dave said it earlier, you can't shoot yourself in the foot right here. You've got a Missouri team, with all due respect, Maggie, that, there's a reason that OU's favored by a touchdown and a little more. Yeah. And then you have an LSU team that I'm not sure if the 4 of us got out there that we couldn't get a couple of stops against that offense. So I hate to say it, but OU is fully in control of their own destiny. I definitely anticipate them winning out, making the playoffs. I'm trying the jinx, Dave. I'm gonna lay it on.
Let's not go too far.
I don't know if I want to hear it. I don't like.
Let's not go too far.
Him, but I want you
Missouri's going to be a very tricky game. I just said it. If Bo Pribula starts, that's a big if. But he's the kind of dude. Oh, okay. Well, he's the kind of guy that can give Brent Venables' defense trouble. Old Miss quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss. He tore him apart on the ground. That's really the kind of guy that can get outside when they break contain and, not really the discipline in their rush lanes. But if they just got a statue back there as a drop back passer, that doesn't bode well. But Missouri's front 7 is really good, and OU's not lighting the world on fire offensively right now. But and look, the 2 teams, the 2 fan bases, I think even the two staffs, they don't like each other. The fan bases can't stand each other. It's nothing but rat poison 24/7 with these 2. So I think it's going to get feisty. I think Missouri is going to come in and try to win the football game. And look, they got a dork for a head coach, but he's a good head coach, and he's going to do his best to come win it. I think it's going to be a tough game, Max. I really do.
At least you said it to my face this time and not just on the.
I'm looking for my blanket. I feel like it's a good time to put the blanket over my shoulders, Mag.
Come on, guys. I'm going through enough. I'm going through enough with this coaching carousel, okay?
Missouri doesn't realize like what their season means. I mean, they play both A&M and Oklahoma. Same thing as Auburn. Same thing. Who else is in there?
Mississippi State, maybe. No, they don't play. Oklahoma doesn't play them.
South Carolina. You know, like last year, I was tagging their football accounts on Twitter, saying, you know, I'd donate to NIL if they would sweep you guys. And so I'm gonna be honest, Mags. This time, y'all start holding up your end of the bargain a little bit here. You split with them last year, but obviously, A&M, you know, didn't go our way this year. So we're due. We're ready to cut that check to Mizzou NIL right now. So
I think the game's gonna be very similar to how the game was last year. Just a very poor offensive game with two good defenses. The only difference is I do trust John Matera, obviously, a little bit more than I trust the true freshman third string quarterback. But I do think I'm hoping that at least it's a good game. Our defense has been able to hold us in most games. Obviously, that first half of the Texas A&M game, our defense kept us in that game. The only reason that was a 14-0 game at half was because of Matt Zollers. It wasn't because our defense wasn't playing well. Then, you know, the dam just broke because our defense was on the field the entire game, and eventually you're gonna wear down. But I do think that our defense has the ability to keep us in this game. And at this point, we have nothing to lose. You know, we're sitting at 22nd. I know a lot of people are upset that Mizzou's ranked 22nd. I don't know why they're upset that Mizzou's ranked 22nd, because it's not like it's keeping their team out of a playoff. It's just that 20 through 25 spot doesn't really matter. You could probably put 5 teams that aren't ranked in there. You could probably move some. I don't know. But they don't have anything to lose. My question is, how focused right now is Drinkwitz on winning these games? I do think that he wants to win these games because he is petty. He made those comments last year about Stoops, and like Stoops made the comments about how they always beat Missouri, and he's like, I guess we don't always beat Missouri. And there is just like that weirdness going on there. I think he wants to win this game, but I'm hoping that he comes out and proves that he can call a game that's worthy of beating Oklahoma and Norman for the first time since like 1966. May I add?
Wow. Well, one thing you got to do to beat Oklahoma is you got to find some way to run the damn ball. And that's one thing, you know, that Texas had success with against Oklahoma that you haven't seen many others. And of course, we haven't replicated that success at all outside of Oklahoma. It's a weird deal there. But, you know, that's how you have to attack that Venables defense. He's going to sit there and 3 high.
Have you ever heard of Ahmad Hardy?
That's what I'm saying. Give him the ball, though. Give him
the damn ball. He only got the ball 12 times against Alabama. And people don't realize that when they're like, oh, Alabama kept him in check. Not really. Kirby and Drink just didn't give him the ball. So it'll be interesting coming off of this 300-yard rushing game, which is actually insane. I don't care who you're playing. But if it's a SEC team, 300 yards is insane. So, yeah, give him the damn ball. And it does help, too, that we got our tight end Brett Norfleet back, who's a great run blocker. He didn't play against Texas A&M. He got hurt in the game against Vanderbilt. So having him back made a huge difference against Mississippi State in that run game.
The problem there is Oklahoma wants you to run the ball, and they're going to put numbers on the line trying to get Missouri to run the ball. Then they just harvest souls. I mean, that's what this team does, get in the backfield and stop the run. They got a bunch of dudes up front, but Hardy's really good. The problem that I would have if I'm a Missouri fan is that's playing right in the strength of Oklahoma. The entire team is the front 7, and they're very hard to move off the line of scrimmage. The linebackers are very fast, sideline to sideline. They're very disciplined with their fits, run gaps, all that stuff. I mean, it's a tough team to run on, but you have to try at least to try Hardy and get that established to have any chance.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just can't turn the ball over against this OU defense to give yourself a chance. You're going to want to make them drive the length of the field here. I like the Missouri defense. That front 7 is real. I mean, that defensive line is one of the better defensive lines that we've gone against this year, and that really showed in the first half. And, you know, you make this Mateer offense have to go through these long sustained drives, force them to punt, play the field position. Don't give them the field position. That's the chance. That's the path for Missouri to win. You can't just give them these, 30-yard, easy field goal tries for their kicker whose range is infinite, apparently. You can't just let them chip away at you like that. I mean, I don't know how much success Hardy will have. You look at the game versus Bama and Auburn, and it wasn't great for Hardy. But like you said, they kind of maybe faded the run a little bit too much. Against A&M, he did have success. And, this is obviously another level of run defense. But I think there is a path for him to find some plays as long as you're not just giving OU points like, Bama did. I mean, OU took the points. Let's be fair here. OU took points from Bama, took possessions from Bama.
Yeah. No, I mean, y'all both said that really, really well. Is lining up and pounding Oklahoma's front seven with inside zone and outside zone, like, is that going to be the path to victory? Like, probably not. But like Dave said, you do have to try it.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to make them think a little bit more about pinning their heels back and rushing a passer. I think Alabama asked Ty Simpson to do way, way too much.
Yeah.
In that football game. But again, when you have no ground game like Alabama had,
they don't have a choice.
You almost don't have a choice. And that's still what was shocking about the Texas game, is that we somehow were able to run the ball in that one when having no really offense at all going into that.
Keep bringing it up, Gordon. Keep bringing it up one more time.
I have nothing at this point, Dave. I recorded a show with my body painted red Monday morning. I have nothing right now, brother. But yeah, Venables being 4-0, which means obviously he went into the state of Alabama, won 2 games against teams in really difficult places to play. I will knock Oklahoma the second that it is fair to do so. But right now, you have to give credit to what they're doing. And like Dave said, kind of just having that right attitude. Looks a lot more like the Oklahoma team from the early 2000s, who just, like you said, offense. Some of those teams had great offenses, but it was just like, as long as they didn't give the game away, Oklahoma was playing damn good defense and mostly, winning all the time, it felt like, especially when we played. There you go, Dave, referencing the early 2000s matchups that y'all kicked our asses in.
Also, this is a revenge game for Oklahoma. And, we talked a little bit about it being that the fan bases and the coaching staffs, and I'm sure some of the players, because Caden Green is on Mizzou's roster, don't like each other, right? So you come out of that game last year, which was a pretty bad game for most of it, and then an epic fourth quarter, and you lose because Jackson Arnold is kind of incompetent, right? So, and you lose to a team that you historically don't lose to. If you think that, and I said this on a podcast earlier this week, if you think that BV didn't hear from a lot of people about losing to the University of Missouri, you're dead wrong. So it'll be very interesting to see how fired up these guys come for BV, because I'm sure he has got them focused and ready to roll for this weekend. Yeah,
like you said, the revenge factor always plays a little bit of a factor in college football. And yeah, the way that game ended, the rivalry between the fan bases, coaching staffs. I mean, these staffs are in on a lot of the same kids. Like, there's plenty to get amped up for. And guys, we're going to keep going, but real quick, we're going to hear a word from our first sponsor of the night, Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
All right, guys. So real quick, we've talked a little bit about, Oklahoma. We've talked a little about Mizzou. Is there any chance, Max, that Mizzou walks out of, what is it called? The Palace? I don't even know the name of your actual field, Dave, but
I've never called it the Palace. I think that's trendy and kind of cringe. It is Owen Field, Memorial Stadium, Owen Field.
I like that. There we go. Any chance?
It's not Gaylord anymore? They changed that?
Oh,
Did it used to be that?
No. I'll never call it that. It's Owen Field. Yeah, Memorial Stadium, Owen Field, to me, always.
I think anytime you're playing a rivalry game in the SEC that there's a chance. You see it happen. Not as many upsets this year, like big upsets. I mean, we almost saw one last week, obviously, with Texas A&M, which we will, I'm sure, be talking about here soon. But I think any chance you go in a rivalry game like this where talent is a little bit more evenly matched than maybe it has been in the past. Now, Oklahoma still has that advantage. Obviously, they're always going to have that advantage, but it is better than it was in the Big 12. So I think anytime you go in, it's a possibility. I'm not picking Missouri to beat Oklahoma this weekend, and I didn't pick Missouri to beat Oklahoma in my season preview back in August. So my opinion on it is staying the same, even though most of us probably sitting in this chat thought that Oklahoma was going to be worse than they are. I still had them beating Missouri like strictly for that revenge factor. I do think it'll be closer than a lot of maybe Oklahoma fans think it'll be. I know that I saw a tweet that's like, what's your confidence level? And they're all like 9s and 10s, which I think is a little bit crazy, but that's also Twitter. So you just never know what you're going to get with it. But I think it's possible. I don't think it'll happen.
I need it to happen. All right. I need somebody.
I mean, I would love for it to happen because we don't have a win or like a big win, and I cannot stop hearing about it. Got Arizona State fans in my mentions talking about, mind you, they lost to Mississippi State earlier this season, who Mizzou just beat by 21 with that same third string true freshman quarterback. And I'm still hearing from them. So I need Missouri to get a big win too.
A 21-point win over Mississippi State. What the hell do I got to do to get that type of performance out here? No, Oklahoma and Arkansas do not play this year. Oklahoma finishes with Mizzou and LSU. Oklahoma, that would have been a fun matchup, Venables versus Bobby P. But no, Mags, you kind of led into it a little bit. Before we get there, though, I need Dave. What are your takes and thoughts on this game? And is there a chance that the Sooners it would be fun for us on our side, all this hype. Oklahoma wins 2 big road SEC games. You get lowly LSU maybe the last one, or you lose another. We'll call it a rivalry with Mizzou. But any chance that happens? Any Sooner letdown possibility?
Yeah, of course it's possible. This is a game the last 3 years this staff loses. I just call it like it is. I mean, there's not a lot you can point to and be like, oh, yeah, they're just going to go in there. It'll be a cakewalk. I ain't doing that. I'm not going to say it because I haven't seen it. So, yeah, until I do, if they happen to win handily against Missouri, then against LSU, I might come out and say, yeah, I think they'll be fine. But no, I think this is going to be a 4-quarter war. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch for people because it's going to be close. And turnovers will probably decide it the way it usually does. It's an 11 o'clock kickoff in Norman. Things are apt to be a little bit sleepy, a little bit hungover and flat after 2 very big road wins. Now you come back home and like, all right, we can take a deep breath. We got the tough ones on the road out of the way and kind of forget the fact you got a really talented team coming into your place looking to kick your ass. And if Hardy happens to bust a run, and they fall behind early, crowd gets restless, it gets later in the day, starts getting hot, people are cranky. Yeah, I can definitely see a chance for Missouri to win. I'm not going to pick it. I think OU wins somewhere in the neighborhood, 27, 23-ish. And, they go on to play LSU for another big one. But, yeah, there is a chance. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Missouri pulls up the upset, to be honest with you.
I can't see it. How about you, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking OU, but I think this is a chance for Missouri to go out there and try to win them a football game. I think if you're looking at both sides of the ball here, that's where Missouri can possibly find an advantage, But, it's going to be really tough for Missouri to move the ball on this one. It just is. With Missouri's strengths, with the freshman quarterback, can they manufacture anything to find some explosives in the air? Can they find that at all against this defense? I think the path to winning is a low-scoring game for Missouri. They keep this thing under 20 on both sides. The over-unders at 42, I think. And you just give Hardy, chances. You just put a bunch of, bullets in that chamber and you let them find a big one. And you find a manufacture points with your defense, just keeping that offense away from short fields, as I was talking about earlier. But safe pick, OU in this one. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not to knock Missouri. I like what Oklahoma is going right now, and then again having the freshman
quarterback.
That is a big deal.
He did throw 2 early touchdowns last week. Matt Zollers did one to Donovan Olubade, who's a superstar. There's going to be a lot of people looking to get him in the transfer portal. But then it kind of slowed down because they were like, let's get Hardy a bunch of yards. So
300 yards, crazy.
Yeah, let's get him 300 yards. Zollers can throw the ball, but it is the true story of this game will how well can the offensive line hold up against that defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, OU's done a really, really dang good job getting to the passer, creating tackles for loss. I mean, this is a team right now that you can't afford to lose a special teams battle with either. I mean, they're making things happen in the kicking department. They're returning punts. And again, when they're scoring on defense, it's gonna be really, really damn tough for teams to beat Oklahoma. But I would love to see it. I got it something along, maybe like 27-13. I do like the Missouri front seven, but I just don't trust Missouri winning the field position battle. You talked about it, Drew, short fields. I think Oklahoma gets a couple of those. A little bit easier to score. Can Missouri find, can they, when they do move the football, can they turn red zone trips into touchdowns? If
we don't have a kicker either. We don't have a good kicker either.
Right.
So it's a big difference.
You and us both, Maggie.
Well, you guys score a lot of points. I'm not going to feel bad.
True. Okay, that's fair.
You don't need a kicker too often up there or over there, wherever you're at, Drew. I think you're actually down there right now. But
yeah, I'm down there.
All right, it's your turn, buddy. Talk about us. You're at Kyle Field. You saw the experience. I don't want to say like I always thought the comeback was on just because A&M. I thought that they always were shooting themselves in the foot, in the first half. I didn't think that it was South Carolina doing anything schematically that was just out of this world or, being overly physical. I did think that if the way the third quarter in the beginning, if it went perfectly for A&M, which obviously in hindsight it did, that there was an opportunity. But you asked a question on Twitter, when we thought the comeback was really on. And for me, it was the 4th and 1 stop. At that moment, were you really feeling the comeback? But also, I need to know what your emotional roller coaster was like, because I can't imagine that it was a little bit all over the place that morning.
I could go so many ways with this because I felt so many things, man. I did a live show when I got home after the drive from College Station. It's like the weirdest I've ever been on camera. I was drained. It took a lot out of me. But yeah, a surreal, like in the crowd experience at that game, because I've never felt like I felt both ends of the spectrum, but never within like the same 45-minute span, because that comeback, it happened fast. And kind of the disaster also happened quickly because things weren't going well through the first quarter. The defense gave up a huge one over their head. There were some big plays they were getting. Lenore Sellers was extending plays, but it never felt, unmanageable at all. It felt like, we're starting slow again. This has happened a couple times. Look at the LSU game in the second quarter. But like the last, 5 minutes of the half were just like an absolute disaster. Like just, it couldn't have gone more wrong. I mean, I think it all started kind of going downhill when Marcel Reed throws a ball backwards while getting sacked. It's like, just hold on to the ball and take the sack. He tries to throw the ball. He's turned off his axis. They scoop and score. And then from then, everything kind of deravels. But you got to pick. We got a big pick going into half. It's like, okay, it's 20-3 right now. We're going to be, or it's 17-3, 13-3, something very manageable. We got to pick. We're at the 5-yard line. We're going to punch this in. We're going to, get some points before the half. We missed the field goal. And it's like, we don't have to lean on the field goal kicker too often, but we missed like a 15-yard field goal, a chip shot. It was missed. That was bad. You give up an 80-yard touchdown. It's like, well, we just had a chance to make this thing close. And all of a sudden it's going the wrong way. Get the ball back, throw another pick. And then it's another pick. It's just an absolute disaster. It's a snowball before the half. We felt like we were going to get 10 more points before the half. We ended up surrendering 13 points. And then it's 30-3. And I've never felt Kyle Field, so packed yet so quiet at the same time. It was just an insane experience. There was they ran like this joke with the players on the big screen where they all come up and they like sing pop songs for karaoke. It's supposed to be like a funny moment. A&M's in a big football game. I've never seen like a comedic segment land on such deaf ears. It was just, so ill placed. It was like, just save this for the next game. Second half starts. I'm thinking like you are, Cord, like we could make this a game. I don't see us winning this game. We've dug ourselves 27 points down. Nothing is working. Marcel Reed is playing for the wrong team right now. He threw 2 interceptions and had 4 more interceptable balls. Credit to Casey Concepcion for playing some defense on offense. Second half starts. A&M gets the ball. 3 quick completions. They go hurry up. It's good. It's like you need to make him stop thinking. You need to get this thing going quickly. And they get in that 4th and 12. And there's like these 3 critical 4th downs to start the second half. And A&M converts all of them and gets to stop on the other one. It was that 4th and 12 scramble for Marcel. They score the next play. That's good. South Carolina actually goes on a pretty good drive, force that 4th and 1 that you were just talking about. A&M gets the stop. It's like, that's really big here because if they get that, they can milk more clock. Time is immediately of the essence when you're in such a big deficit. They don't. Probably should have kicked it. They didn't. Whatever. Shane Beamer. And A&M scores. And that was and there was another 4th down conversion on that drive after they got the ball back. They were in a 4th and 2. So the game was again on the line, and they get that. And after that 3rd, 4th down like conversion, I was like, okay, we're here to win. We're here to play. I mean, just to go for it on the 4th and 12 in the first place was just insane sicko behavior. But you weren't going to try to give them the ball back. You were going to do everything you could. But those 3 4th downs are what gave me the confidence. It's like they're backed up against the wall. You could not be more down. You're almost out, but they're finding these plays. They score there. And then all of a sudden the lid comes off of Kyle Field. It went from the most quiet, it felt like we're at the Masters or something. It was just like golf claps and not even clapping. It was depressing. And then it just explodes. And Marcel Reed catches fire. He was like 16 for 22 in the half, 3 touchdowns, some really big scrambles. The running game kind of comes along late. The defense really locks in. I think they only gave up like 3 first downs in the second half. And it was really good. But apparently it wasn't over, because we had to fumble at the goal line one more time to give them a chance to take the lead at the end. So we couldn't just get off easy and go home with a feel-good win. So we went back into like that full clinch mode, and we were, pressing again, full pucker, if you will. But, A&M gets the stop. Cassius Howell's very late in the game. Didn't do too much in the game until the very last possession where he gets a sack, and then he drops out into cover and he kind of mirrors the quarterback, runs Lenora Sellers out of bounds. A&M wins. And this was a game that honestly no one knew was happening. I watch preview videos. I watch videos, previews for the game. I make a preview for the game. And no one was talking about this game. Could have just gone and won by 20 and, nothing would have come of it. But I actually come out of the game feeling pretty good. First of all, get punched in the mouth. I didn't know we were capable of playing that bad. I knew we had some deficiencies, but to play that poorly in a game, bottomed out below the bottom. It was insane. But for them to overcome that and then play maybe their best ball of the year, I don't care who the opponent was, maybe their cleanest football of the year in the second half, to overcome that, it was just really good to see. And I'll feel it. I already felt confidence when A&M was down because of what had happened already in the year. Competitive first half with Missouri, down at half versus LSU, winning big in the second on both of those. But to this degree was just incredible. And I'm excited to hear, y'all's perceptions of the game from afar. But for me, it was just so many emotions watching a football game.
Yeah, my wife was so mad. She literally stopped watching for like 20 minutes. And again, we had a lot going on that day. I was sick. And I'm like, hey, they're kind of back in it. And she was like, I don't want to know anything. I am so enraged by what I saw in that first half. Like she was legit furious by that first half. And I get it. It was pretty rough. We'll keep talking Aggies and Gamecocks real quick, but we're going to hear from Mr. David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, guys. So back to A&M, back to South Carolina. Dave, do you have any takeaways? Were you able to watch that one?
Yeah, I thought the 4th down stop that Drew referenced really was the game. South Carolina has a chance to go down and answer. I think it would have taken the air right back out of Kyle Field. That was a huge stop, and to me, that turned the entire thing. But he's right. That was one that you're not really aware that it's even kicked off, but people start texting, and then like, hey, have you seen A&M? What's going on? You look, you're like, holy cow. And then you look again, it's 30-3. Like, they're toast. There's no way they can come back from that huge upset. But kudos to A&M. That's a really big comeback. And I feel what you're saying about the being just completely spent. 23 OU Texas. Caleb Williams comes off the bench, leads it back 35-17 down as Cord shakes his head. Hot day on top of that. When you're done, that
was Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
don't give him. Don't.
Caleb Williams 4th and 1 touchdown run sparked that one. But yeah, when you're done, man, that's every emotion in you at the end of the day is just exhausted. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I just sat there in the stands for like 15 minutes after the game. I took a picture, it was probably longer than that. I just took a picture 20 mints later. It's like, I'm still here. And people roasted my shoes off of that picture, whatever. That's a different story. But yeah, I felt emotionally drained. I went straight for the margarita bar afterwards.
I definitely have a joke to make next time I see you on the golf course in reference to Shoegate, to Drew Shoegate, however we'll define that. But now, Maggie, what did you think about it? And does that mean anything long term as far as like how you feel about this A&M team and what they're capable of?
After what I watched at Faroe Field in the second half, it doesn't really change how I feel about A&M, especially knowing that there are some good aspects to that South Carolina team. I just don't think that they're very well coached. That's kind of my issue with it. I think after that fumble happened and then they had that series and they were at 2nd and 1 to keep the drive alive, and they have Lenoris like drop back for a pass and he gets sacked 11 yards. And he gets sacked the next play. I'm like, what? Just keep the drive alive. You have a minute. They had like a minute and 40 seconds left to get down the field, and they've been moving it decently through the air all day. They didn't rush the ball very well, but we saw, unlike everybody else that didn't know the game was going on, it was on the TV at the tailgate, and we were hate watching a little bit because we don't like South Carolina or Texas A&M. Texas A&M's our new rivals. I don't know if you guys heard about that. So,
it's official.
It is official. They're our new rivals. So yeah, we were watching it pretty closely, and then, obviously same feeling. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, 30-3. There's just no way. And then it was like, they scored again. Like, it's all like everybody's yelling at each other across the tailgate. And I don't think that besides that fumble, didn't Texas A&M score on every possession?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy. My question I have is, do you think Marcel Reed hurt his Heisman chances or helped his Heisman chances? And I think that's you'll get different takes from people, but I think that's interesting to think about.
That's a very good question. I was going to ask you guys that. Yeah. I mean, my take isn't, I think it helps because if he just has a decent game and A&M wins by 20, no one even thinks about this game. No one even thinks about the performance. And yeah, he set himself up to have the comeback, but just the ability to do that, it's just kind of like a data point to add to what he can do and like maybe a Heisman moment, even though he dug himself in the hole. But I think no one notices if he goes out there and throws for a couple hundred and a couple touchdowns and rushes for one. No one's going to say anything. It's a net zero. And, maybe this is a net zero, but I think it kind of trends a little bit more positively to me.
Yeah, everybody has bad games, but his didn't last for the game. He was able to turn that off and turn on a good game at the half, come out and win it for his team. For me, that's absolutely a positive.
Well, like he didn't look great for the duration of the game in South Bend. He was very inefficient at times. He made some poor decisions. But when he did connect, when he did complete passes, like they're just so explosive. And so that to me is why I thought like A&M's not out of this game. Like A&M can score in a heartbeat. They have great special teams. Like defense is opportunistic. They create turnover. Like there's still that window there. But I definitely agree with y'all. The 4th and 1 changed the game. The 4th and 1 to me was everything. And to credit your point, Maggie, I thought it was a horrific decision by South Carolina to not give the run pass option to Lenore Salazar, giving him a read with a running back instead. I right there, I was like, South Carolina is cooked. in this game. Because
that was it.
You already saw A&M implement the tempo. You saw the offense speed up, which opened up the ground game, which they couldn't really do in the first half. Marcel looked like he, again, like Drew said, he switched uniforms back to maroon and was playing for the home team. And so, that to me, I was kind of like, what was South Carolina's speech like at halftime? I sensed a little bit of arrogance at halftime from Coach Beamer walking out of there. We're not surprised, And so, like, I just want to know what he said to those guys because that defense on the second half almost looked like a defense where it was like, I mean, it's 27 points, bro. We're good,
That's exactly what it felt like. But
again, at the same time, A&M in the first half, they dropped touchdown passes. They threw passes backwards for no reason. They had their own implosions. And so it's a game that in the hindsight, like I don't really think any differently about A&M. I'm ready to see A&M play a little bit better of a team. I think that offense is incredible. I think they're still going to move the ball against good defenses, but I want to see their defenses against, offenses that they'll see, playoff caliber offenses. But no, I think A&M definitely, it didn't hurt my stance on them. And, like Coach just said right here, he thinks Aggies are really, really good and fellow IT staffer. So that's a guy that knows ball. But no, at the end of the day, A&M, that offense is pretty lethal, man. It really, really is. There's speed everywhere. You wonder why their guys have so much separation at times and underneath and underneath, because you have to honor their speed. You can't just let them take the top off your defense. And I'll tell you what, Bethel Roman, man, that dude's a stud. That dude's a stud. And I am, as coach just said again, I'm pretty damn concerned about A&M's offense versus our defense in particular. I feel good about us moving the ball, but I shoot right now, like, if you'd said A&M scored 40 at DKR, wouldn't be shocked, because that offense is pretty dang good, and Coach Klein does a really, really good job with that. Enjoy him while you have him, Drew, because hopefully he's out there.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to lay the groundwork to say let's not hate the guy for leaving early, because he's going to get some jobs. There's too many openings, and he's doing too well not to get a job probably pretty soon. But yeah, that second half, that comeback, no Mario Craver. He had a nagging injury, and he didn't play in the second half. So Ashton Bethel Roman stepped up huge in the game, and then Isaiah Williams, who hadn't played all year, touchdown reception, the first one to get the party started in the half. So credit to those guys.
I did like the scheme that Klein had on the release. I think it was a tight end. It was kind of up the hash. I don't know which end zone it was going towards. I want to say it made it a 14-point game, maybe.
Yep.
I don't know. But yeah, really, really, really sexy play design, if you will. But enough gushing over A&M in the comeback. We'll call it a fluke. I think that's just what everybody pretty much said. It's a big fluky comeback. A&M's dropping 3 in a row. Samford's got them. Let's not worry.
We previewing the Sanford game. It's a big game.
Big game.
They're Drew's biggest rival. It's Samford Hate Week. We've already talked about it on the timeline. So.
Yep, they get a hate week.
Hang on, I want to touch on something. Cord, I want to ask you a question.
No, what's that?
The Texas defense. Okay, last week on the radio, we were talking about it with Georgia, and I'm like, Texas has a really good defense. I think that'll keep them in the game. No, what has happened to the Texas defense?
In all fairness, they were in the game for most of the game. Just the fourth quarter, not the fourth quarter.
It's all about perspective, like, were we in the game? I felt like we were in the game, but when people are saying, like, hey, Georgia's essentially just, I don't know, we got 4 consecutive stops. Then their fifth series after that, we forced a turnover. Like, yeah, we're definitely in that game. It's just watching us fall apart like that. You have an opportunity, and again, now this happened with Ohio State, one of their 2 series where they cross the 50 then score a touchdown. Our defense has 2 penalties that extend those drives, right? And so Ohio State also had a very mundane plan, because I think they knew that we couldn't finish a drive or really even move the football. We couldn't complete a pass. And so a lot of us, especially inside Texas, give our producer Connor credit for this, but he was big on, I don't know if this defense is as good as people are expecting it to be. Let's see what happens when they get challenged. Well, look at Florida. Florida lights us up like a Christmas tree, which, I mean, only 29 points, but in comparison to what Florida was doing on offense before that, it felt like 129. You look at what Vandy was able to do in the fourth quarter. Like, we're so superior from an athletic standpoint, from a physical standpoint, to Vanderbilt. It's like, yeah, Texas defense should play pretty good defense against Vandy. So, again, seeing Texas really get tested, I think Texas fans are even ready to say, like, hey, yeah, this defense is a far cry from the defense that we had last year. We're pretty soft in coverage. We're not great in zone coverage, but we really don't have the cornerback, the CB2 to play a lot of man. And so, I mean, like, we're up against it a little bit. There have been some people who have been on Coach PK, the defensive coordinator, who've been on him about what we're doing with the bend but don't break style. And so, yeah, I mean, the offense wasn't great for half the year, but luckily you're playing some non-conference opponents. Our defense really, and I hate to say they're getting exposed, because they played a good 3 quarters, played a bad first quarter, but then you step up for 2.5 quarters and you slow Georgia down a lot. You get, like Maggie said, you get Texas in the game, but then you give up a 4th and 1, which I will concede. 4th and 1 from their own 38-yard line. Kirby goes for it. Fourth quarter at home, a big boy call. Sicko. Great play design. Beautiful play design. You tip your cap and you say, okay, that's a great play. That's great execution. Very, very tough to defend. But the one that really bothers me is that Georgia's just past midfield. They have a 4th and 4. The third down play ends. They go tempo. They get on the line of scrimmage, and this is one where Colin Simmons has the offside penalty, and then we pick up a PI penalty on top of that, which, again, it's just undisciplined football. Things that you weren't seeing last year on the defensive side. We've always had the Kyle Flood and the O-line and the pre-snap penalties and the holding calls. Like, we've always been good at that. But on the defensive side of the ball, just there was so much more discipline last year. We're better on the edges. Georgia consistently, as Connor pointed out again, they ran our cover 3 defender or cornerback off, and they just replaced his area with speed in the flats. And I mean, like, we just didn't seem like we were schemed up. We got beat on the headsets. We got beat on the field. Georgia's out physicaled us, I'd say in 2 of the 3 matchups. I think we mashed them in Atlanta. But what did Pedro Martinez say? Any of y'all baseball fans back in the day? ALCS, he said at some point you got to tip their cap and call them my daddy, I mean, and that's the way it feels like when we line up with Georgia right now. It's tough to watch. You can't catch a pass on the other side of the football. You can't run block. You can't pass block. And so very, very depleting. Any more questions?
You're not alone. There's not a lot of people that beat Georgia. So, I mean, you can take.
No, we've beaten Georgia like 1 time since we've been in the SEC.
It is.
I'd love to play Georgia.
Yeah.
You too?
I'd love for you
We'd
to play
love for
Georgia.
A&M to get to play Georgia too.
Soon.
So.
Soon.
It's insane that we played what? Let's see here now. Less than 16, 17 conference games, and we've already played Georgia 3 times the amount of A&M, and y'all been in the conference for 14 years.
Well, and people talk about
it is what it is.
East and West, but we've played A&M that was in the West like 5 or so times, and they've still only played Georgia once. So
we play Florida every year. It's crazy. How have we only played Georgia once? We've only played Kentucky once. I mean, the 9-game schedule, that's something to talk about in terms of playoff seeding, but in terms of seeing the matchups you want, it's going to be nice to get them.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be cool because, like you just said, you are going to see more of these big-time matchups. But I actually wanted to get into this at the very, very end. Y'all bring up a fun point. Should SEC schools, and I'm referencing a lot of conversations that we had today on the timeline, at least the Texas Twitter timeline, but a lot of Texas fans are going to the defense of, well, we shouldn't have played Ohio State. You shouldn't have played Ohio State. And now I think there's 2 sides of that coin. And I don't think that either one of them are necessarily the wrong side of that coin. One, yeah, you don't play Ohio State. You beat up on a non-conference patsy. You scream SEC. It's just so difficult, which I don't like. I don't like that at all. I don't like the bandwagon or the coattail riding. I'm not about that. I screamed about A&M doing it for a long time. And so I'm forever stuck on the side. But,
you'll come around. You're new here. You'll come around.
Yeah. Well, then, and inevitably 4 or 5 teams in the SEC go 10-2. You know what I mean? Like that win would have looked really good on your resume. Well, then the other side of the coin is like you play those matchups because they're just tremendous for college football. There is no guarantee that you were to go on and make the college football playoff anyways. And again, those matchups are incredible for college football. Like I cannot explain to you, like I can remember every single second of 2005 Texas at Ohio State, every single second. And I'm sure you guys all have games that you can go back to and do the same with. So what are your thoughts? Should SEC schools continue to schedule big time out of conference matchups, or is it like, hey, we're going to feast upon ourselves and that's enough?
It makes sense to feast upon yourselves and that's enough, but I just can't resist a good non-con game early in the season. I think just the enjoyment I get out of watching those, whether it's my team or other teams. I mean, obviously A&M's been in some big ones in recent years. Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami. Those are so much fun. Those are early in the year. Those get they're kind of like your early tone setters, your early, what is my team? What is get a big test early on in the year. It's just classic college football. It seems like it's been something that's been part of it back to 2005 with the Ohio State Texas game or whatever you want to go back to and see. I think it's such a special part of the game, but there is a tactical advantage to scheduling the Patsy or whatever you called it. I mean, scheduling, just a lower tier G5 or lower tier Power 4 school. If you don't play Ohio State there, where are you right now? It's a totally different ball game. If you go out there and play whatever team you want to pick, it's a different game. But I just think that the interest gained, just the college football pageantry gained by playing those games, I'm not willing to let that go, even with the better path.
Yeah, is it smart to avoid the big time non-con? Probably. I don't care. Keep playing them. I mean, Oklahoma's back since 2000, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Miami, Florida State, Tennessee. Those games are fun, and they're kind of what they kick off the college football season. Those big non-con matchups, they're part of the fabric of why we love the game. You start messing with that, you're already messing with the game enough. It's not going to resemble anything that we grew up loving and why we're here talking about it. So No, I hope it always continues. I think it's going to be contingent on ADs at specific schools and kind of their thought process with it. I know Joe Castiglione at Oklahoma has come out multiple times that he doesn't care about the tactical advantage. He wants to go play big non-conference opponents. I tip my cap to him for doing that. And I hope people always do. That's part of the best part of college football is the big non-con matchups we get to watch.
Agreed.
I think that's what separates fans of their teams from college football fans. Because if you're a college football fan, you want those games. I had to watch like 1 million home Mizzou games this year, so I did all in a row those first couple of weeks, which was ridiculous. But all I wanted to do was watch. I did get to watch the Ohio State Texas game, but I missed a lot of those bigger games. But those are games that I want to go back and I want to watch the replays, and I want to see what kind of offenses they were running and what they struggled with. Like, that is what true college football fans they want. Now, I feel like I'm a little bit on the opposite side of you guys, where all three of you guys play. I mean, I'm not saying we didn't play at Power 4, but we're kind of lucky that our rival of 120 years is the University of Kansas. I mean, and that's probably not going to change. We hate Kansas, they hate us. I am assuming that they're going to make it a long-term thing. I don't know why those other two games we would schedule anything but easy teams. What benefit does it have for us? You're already playing that power forward that could upset you because it's a rivalry game and you never know what's going to happen in a rivalry game. But why would we schedule? We were actually next year supposed to play at Illinois and at Kansas. Illinois canceled, which we probably would have ended up canceling anyways because of the 9-game change. But it's like, why would you add another game on top of that Power 4? If wins and losses are all that matter, because that's what a lot of these fans are saying, and why a lot of them are having an issue with Mizzou being ranked at 22, is it's because we have 3 losses. They're not looking at, the quality of those losses. Right now, all 3 of our losses are in the top 14. If we get a 4th loss this week, that's just another top 10 loss, So people look at it that way. We're already going to be playing all of those teams. Why do you add another one on top of that Power 4 you already have scheduled?
And that's what we're doing, though, and that's why I was so opposed to the SEC moving to a nine-game slate for the conference, just because that's what we're doing. You go and schedule an Ohio State. Well, now all of a sudden, let's say, for example, like our non-con schedule after Ohio State was UTEP, San Jose State, and who am I missing? Somebody else we look terrible against. But either way, you're removing that opponent, and now you're making that a Tennessee per se. It's just somebody that we don't play. That game now becomes so. Again, I get both sides of it from a viewer standpoint. And that's obviously more for one side of the coin, because like you want to see that. I loved watching Missouri and K-State with old buddy hit a field goal from the courthouse
Bigger
and like that.
62,
That was insane. And I had money on K-State, but we don't have to talk about that. And so I love those matchups. I liked the USC and Bama, Florida State and Bama, and obviously all the matchups like Texas had. Dave knows Texas and OU. We've had to play big matchups because we were in the Big 12. If you want to get respect for your resume, we weren't going to do so when our best matchup at home was going to be, our best matchup outside of each other was going to be a Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State. Or maybe as a 1 or 2 year Baylor or TCU, we just weren't going to get it. So we had to put a big non-con game on the schedule for Texas. And Oklahoma also, like we play each other in Dallas. So we had to do it for the fans and for some, viewer standpoint. And so I love it. I think it's great. I definitely understand. I think if I had to pick, I would say, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's play 3 patches. Let's get ready for 9 games of SEC play because of all the money that's going around. And it feels like everybody in the SEC is recruiting well. It's just everybody's head coaches are kind of a mess. And so that's what I want to finish on.
Great.
You could pick anybody right now just about in the SEC and have some fun with a coaching conversation, except for these 2 gentlemen on your right. Mr. Elko did sign his extension with Texas A&M this afternoon. I think Brent Venables has safely secured his spot going forward with Oklahoma football. I think my head coach wants to be our head coach. I'm pretty sure. Stay tuned. But no, where do you expect Kiffin to go? Any predictions, any guesses onto that? And then also there's another one we'll get into after Lane.
That guy's the most overrated coach in the history of coaches. I don't understand this, guys. I never have got the fascination with Lane Kiffin. He's never done anything. I mean, he fired on the tarmac at USC, was a disaster at Tennessee. He's done okay at Ole Miss. I mean, has he ever played for a national championship? Has he ever won one? Has he ever won a conference championship?
No, he hasn't played for a conference championship. Not
I
as a head coach.
I don't get it. And yet, anytime something big comes up, he's the first name. He must be a hell of an interviewer. That's about all I can give it. But somebody's going to pay the guy a lot of money, and I assume he ends up probably at Florida, would be my guess.
I think he'll get overpaid. I think he stays at Ole Miss.
I'm with you. I think he stays. I think he could be the hero there. And maybe a little bit along the lines of what you're saying, Dave. I think he can stay there and just be the guy there and not have to risk it. I think he is the king there if he stays.
Not the high expectations.
Yeah.
You win 10 games there, you're a god.
Exactly.
You're a god. These are
I
the
like
best
James
seasons.
Franklin at Va-Tech, by the way. That's a great fit.
That's an excellent hire on Virginia Tech's part. I'm hoping they become somewhat relevant again on the national scene because my childhood was filled with some great Va-Tech memories, man. So yeah, I think that is a perfect fit. It's a place where Franklin can reassess and really figure out how things went so wrong. Because before, I mean, he was doing a good job at Penn State. It's just not when it came to being against Ohio State or, at times Michigan, the big games. And so, yeah. And I'll go ahead and ask you rivals of ours, would it surprise you at all, I guess, if Sarkisian was not Texas's coach at the end of the year?
I think it would surprise me. I just don't think there's a reason to move off. I think he made it clear today, if you believe what he said, that he has no intention of moving off. He said it pretty plainly. He said it pretty adamantly. And I wouldn't think that Texas wants to move off of the guy because of what you've done the last 2 years and just dealing with a little bit of, trials and tribulation this year. It's tough to be good every year in today's day and age, no matter what the investment level is, no matter what you're doing. There's just so much talent to go around now. The talent has been dispersed, at least to a degree. The game at Florida, not always an easy game to win. You can laugh and point at Texas for losing that game, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. These things happen now. And you can't just, throw it all away with, I think, one, if you even want to call it a down year. It might not be a disaster. You have two opportunities to salvage it in a way, obviously not to your expectations, but I think it would be an egregious, departure if it were to happen. I have no anticipation that it will.
Yeah, I do too, Cord. That would shock me. It would be asininely stupid. If any Texas fan out there wants Sarkisian gone, go to the mirror, the nearest one, and slap yourself in the face. I mean, the guy can coach. They just went to the playoffs. I mean, they got 3 losses, exactly right. Playing the Horseshoe, not a lot of people win there. Playing in the Swamp, exactly right. Drew, that's a tough place to play at night. If your quarterback doesn't live up to expectations, you tend to have a tough year. I just watched Oklahoma and Jackson Arnold go through it last year. 5-star quarterback, Gatorade Player of the Year, and sometimes they're just not quite what you thought. And when that happens, your team suffers for it. That's not to say Texas is a bad team. They're still extremely talented and on any given night can beat just about anybody. But no, Sarkisian's a very good coach, and I think Texas is lucky to have him.
I think you also have to look at where you were from 2011 to 2021. Go back and look at that. If you don't think that you're in a better spot than that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm from a fan base that, we're ebbs and flows. We're ups and downs. We're going to have maybe a couple of good years when we have really experienced players, and then we're going to maybe have a couple of down years. I am very much not a spoiled fan. I don't have that luxury. If you're upset about this, you're a spoiled fan. And I get it. Like, I get you want to win national championships. So do I. I've never seen my team win one. But you have to look at it as you are in such a better place right now. Running him out of town would be asinine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to just take a look at where Texas was before Steve came to town. And has everything been flawless and perfect? No, it's college sports. And you've gone and he's had to oversee this crazy era that we're in college football between the transfer portal and NIL coming into play. He's done a pretty dang good job with roster management. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, as long as you want to be here, like, you got to want to be here. And so it seems like he does. I think today was a big step in reassuring Texas fans with what Drew mentioned. He came out, it was pretty adamant, that Texas is home and that he'll be part of what's going on down the line. But he definitely needs to have a look in the mirror on it and a few things. Like, we can't run the ball. You don't expect to win games in this conference being a team that has got to sling the ball around. If you're not ever able to run the ball, look at Alabama. Great coaching staff, experienced defense. Still, OU put them in the blender last week on the offensive side. You got to be able to run the ball. You just have to. And so find a way to run the ball. I think nowadays, I think hitting the portal is going to be incredibly not incentivized, but you got to put a high priority on it. Just because, you look at the O-line play that Texas has had, you could pick a couple positions elsewhere and say, hey, Texas could have needed, could have used a guy there. And so, again, like you said, Maggie, I think that if you're spoiled by all this, you're just probably a person that's pretty difficult to please on a daily basis because, again, Texas played in the college football playoff, the Final Four of each of the last 2 seasons. And again, Texas went on the road, outplayed Ohio State from a box score standpoint, lost on the scoreboard. Okay. It's not like, it's not like we're just out here getting ran all the time. It's not like Georgia got out to a 21-0 lead and just suffocated us in the second half. Like, we were in the game. It was just a very undisciplined, a bad drive in which Georgia was well coached on. And then the surprise onside kick, which in my mind, like I told the guys on the Sunday show, I'm always looking for onside kicks. I will never be fooled by that. So I was sitting there watching like, okay, hate to see it come to fruition. I hate when it actually happens because, man, those hairs on the back of my neck, man.
Dude, what a play call though, man. That's Kirby Smart watching film all week, knowing you guys are trying to set up the big return for your big gun back there, and those guys start peeling back before the ball's even kicked. He noticed that. I mean, that's why Georgia's Georgia.
And that's what I'm talking about when I say Sark. We really got to take a look at everything inside the program, just because like Georgia's outplayed us on special teams pretty severely in all 3 matchups. You know what I mean? Like, Georgia is a good measuring stick, obviously. I mean, I think that's a fair statement, for the SEC right now, as far as where you're at and do you belong as far as a contender? Are you maybe a pretender? Hate to be that cliche, but you use that to see where you're at. And especially when you take a trip to play them over there in the night, you know what I mean? And so I think Texas probably has a pretty good idea of what they still got to work on. You still have 2 opportunities to go and get things right a little bit, if you will. I think Texas is going to need a lot of things go their way as far as making the college football playoff at 9-3. But again, right now, I know A&M's going to be a very big handful. So Arkansas will be too. We'll talk about that tomorrow night, though, guys. We're doing 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Inside Texas Live, what you got to know about Texas, Arkansas. So y'all come back for that. And if you haven't thrown a like on the video, please do that. These are my good friends, good people, and I want them to want to come back. So go throw a like on the video for me real quick. Also, hop on over again, $1 right now, signing up for InsideTexas.com. Go subscribe, guys. But again, thank you all for doing this. Anything else from the 3 of you? Anything else you want to bring up before we let you out of here?
Enjoy it, guys.
It was good. Handle Arkansas, please. We need a showdown next week.
Oh, you don't mean that at all. You want to see us just.
Yeah, you're right. I want to see you lose.
Yeah. Let me just say, look in the mirror. Exactly that, Robert. That's how I feel. He has to take a look in the mirror, figure out how this went wrong. You've waited on the Arch Manning era, and you have an offense that cannot move the ball against anybody with equal talent. So it needs to be figured out, and it starts with the O-line. And my personal opinion, I think it starts with who runs that offensive line. But we'll see how that looks at the end of the season. It's a big offseason.
Extend flood. Do it.
Oh man, I'll get into that later on. But with that being said, I really do appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all the comments, Coach. Thanks you for being in here and supporting my man Bart, all you guys, Robert. Y'all have a great rest of your night and get ready for a fun weekend of college football. And we'll see you maybe next time. We'll get these guys back on.